Welcome everyone, Questini here with a discussion about Nakai the Wanderer of the Lizardmen, who is leading a horde army with a vassal, so this campaign was pretty horrible in Warhammer 2. But in Warhammer 3, well, I would say it has been largely neglected because it kind of starts in a crappy position, isolated from everyone else, not necessarily that exciting, but once you get going in this campaign, you will get going in a way that other campaigns could only dream of. So to understand why I'm saying that is you gotta understand some of the dynamics in play in the Lizardmen. The Lizardmen are an okay race, but they do have significant issues. One of those significant issues is the fact that it takes them a long time to actually build up anything in terms of their settlements. Well, that's not an issue for Nakai. He's got instant constructions. In the moment he's got the surplus points, which he will be gaining faster than anyone else. He can instantly construct buildings in a single turn. That has such an enormous benefit in his campaign because he can unlock every type of Lizardman unit recruitment, and because he has such a fast ability of getting these buildings, you can reasonably play with our dino stacks in this faction. Now, the downside of this is the actual unit recruitment itself. So you can only recruit units normally if you in Nakai's army. So, and it's all tied to Nakai's army. The other armies you do have, which are minor horde armies, they will not have any kind of unit recruitment, though they can get hero recruitment, and that is where another ridiculous part is going to come into play in this particular campaign. But just the fact that you can get buildings very quickly is going to give you a significant advantage. Also, you don't have to worry about the climate limitations. This is a slower pace campaign, so it's going to take longer to achieve, like, say, a short campaign victory condition. I just barely accomplished it here right now, like I'm at 31 settlements. So it takes time, absolutely, but once you get going in this campaign, you're like an unstoppable juggernaut. It takes a while to start this campaign. It's like a freight train. It takes a while to start it, but once it hits you, you are going to feel it. Like, look at this army over here. Understand that Zaytan has no chance against this army, and this is like a secondary army that I built under a Kroxgar. There are, of course, more ridiculous aspects in this campaign. Like, your short campaign victory condition gives you a choice between either a temporary benefit or getting a small army over here in Lustria. This is the small army. It's got 3 heroes, Saurus Scar Veterans, Skink Chiefs, Priest Heavens, a bunch of Saurus over here, a couple of Skink cohorts, not really a problem, but then you've got Kroxigars, Feral Carnosaurs, Stegodon, Bastiladon, and Solar Engine. This is what CA considers a small army. Yeah, this is Endgame Crisis army. Thank you very much, CA. That's it is appreciated to get it, but still. Now, you can confederate other factions, but you won't gain any territory. Instead, because you're playing a horde faction, instead you'll just get whatever armies they have, and they'll be converted into minor horde armies. Now, these minor horde armies can increase capacity, as I stated, and they can make it so that the global recruitment situation is significantly better. So you can reduce the global recruitment duration for a lot of these things to a reasonable standard with those buildings. They're still going to be pretty expensive, but once you get going, as I stated, you really get going in this particular campaign. Now, your vassal is an interesting choice. So it's not a real faction. It doesn't have real armies. Instead, it has probably some of the most powerful fucking garrisons in the entire game. And keep in mind, these are for minor settlements. Keep in mind, outside of like settlements that have a lot of garrison build, or that have the garrison building and built up. So you got a garrison over here. If you look at the settlements, each settlement has Kroxigars, they've got some dinos, they've got some skinks. It is difficult for the AI to overcome it. In fact, throughout this entire campaign, none of these temples, none of these garrisons have actually ever been attacked. And I've seen entire stacks like Lokir and Itch just like avoid them because there's so many units in there that the AI would take significant casualties even if they did win. But that's only part of the situation. It would be, the limitation here is diplomacy, because you can't take settlements yourself to trade away to factions, so that would be great if we had a way of doing so, or maybe, you know, a combination. The way the vassal works is that their main building is generating 750 income, and obviously you're getting a portion of that through vassal tribute. That's how you gain money in this campaign beyond the background income. Nothing else will generate any, and some of the horde buildings, I think the main horde building that Nakai has in his campaign. That's all the only way you're going to generate income. It is actually a fairly decent income considering the amount of territory I've taken. But that's because Nakai has a research tree that's pretty ridiculous over here. So when you take a settlement, you get these old ones favor because you dedicate it to one of the particular old ones. So you've got 3 of Quetzal, Itzal, and one that I won't even pronounce. But you get these favors. And when you get favor, you can get various benefits. The one at the bottom gives you a significant amount of increase from vassal tribute. That ends up being fairly significant in a campaign. That's how you get so much money through the sake of vassal tribute. And these benefits, by the way, are pretty significant. You do have other research abilities. You do have limited armies, but then again, it's like, how to put it? It's like army capacity is not really going to be an issue here. You probably won't be able to afford as many armies as other factions, so you won't be able to just run around however way you want. But you're looking at this research tree, right? You've got the ability of getting 7 armies through the research tree alone when we're looking at it. That's pretty decent, but it's not just that particular affair. So you're looking at 7 armies, so you would have 8. Then you get the structure over here that is going to give you, so you're looking at 10 armies. That's pretty decent enough. You can work with that in a campaign. That's not really going to be a problem. You might not be covering the campaign in glory, but the armies you have, even if they're limited in capacity, the armies you have will be absurd. I mean, I think you're seeing the amount of heroes I have here, the amount of heroes I have here, the amount of heroes I have over here, the heroes I just got. Let me put it like this. Why is this so ridiculous? I've got 8 skink chief capacity, 7 stars scar veteran, 6 skink priest, and 6 skink oracles. Now, of course, 3 of those are because I just achieved my short campaign victory condition, but you get 1 hero capacity for all heroes in the campaign. You will obviously start with 1, so you're looking at 2 hero capacity. And then you look at the temples of the old ones. Now, the temples of the old ones, they give you passive benefits and active benefits. So you have at the top a choice of like a faction effect, depending on who you want to go with. You can get more tribute from vassals. You can get campaign move range plus 25% for armies and post-battle loot, which is actually a problem for the Lizardmen. You can get casualty replenishment plus 10% friendly, neutral, and enemy territory. So basically 10% casualty replenishment faction-wide. That is pretty significant for the Lizardmen. But the other benefits is you can unlock every type of hero recruitment very early on in your campaign. Some things are more expensive, like Skink Oracles are 300 of these favors, whereas things like Saurus and Skink Chiefs are only 100, and even Skink Priests. But the point is, you can unlock global hero recruitment with an extra capacity. Now, the capacity is temporary, so it won't last you forever. But the important point is you get global hero recruitment. And yes, that is as absurd as you might think it is, because you then suddenly turn around and say, okay, let me just recruit a bunch of Saurus. Let me recruit a bunch of Skink Chiefs. This is gonna be a bit ridiculous. And you may not be able to get as many units as you want because of the limitations and recruitment. Ain't gonna matter, because it's like Nakai is the true like Nakai gets so many heroes in his campaign that he's genuinely matching potentially factions like the Skaven at least early on in his campaign, because he can get a lot of these benefits very, very quickly. And it's like you then look at Nakai surrounded by heroes. And because those effects temporarily buff the hero recruit rank, you end up getting an absurd level of power that other factions could only really realistically dream of getting in their respective campaigns. That is the power of Nakai. It's not the horde armies, it's not the incredibly powerful vassals, it's that can't be easily killed. It's the fact that you're sitting here on your ass with more heroes than anyone else in the campaign. You can make entire hero armies. Like, in fact, I think that's exactly what I'm going to do here. Because it is that absurdity. That level of absurdity. Now, and that's, mind you, that all the heroes I recruited here, that's not even counting the skink priest. I don't have the structure for it. You don't need the structure. The structure is still nice to get because it does increase capacity, but when you look at the situation, it's like one of the most absurd campaigns that you might put together. And then that's not even considering Nakai's skill line over there. So it's like his skill line is not necessarily that great, though. He does get frenzy for crossguard and sacred crossguard. He does get casualty replenishment. He got his terror and discouraged effect. And his Lord effect gives him a recruitment cost melee defense for Croxigars. He also has 2 items. One of the problems in this campaign is actually you're never really going to be able to get enough items for every single hero that you're recruiting, but it's like heroes even without items are going to be pretty damn good all the same. And because you're getting so many heroes, it's like that means replenishment, that means campaign movement range, that means scouting. Is such a biblical level of power that I don't think I can express it properly. Heroes are powerful in every campaign that can get them, and one of the problems, one of the principal issues in a Lizardmen campaign is the fact that you are going to struggle for a very, very long time to get heroes. Because consider the Skink Oracles that I just got here. Skink Oracles, you can only really get them at tier 4. Saurus Scar Veterans you can only get at tier 4. From the same building that produces Temple Guard. So you running around with this many heroes is an insane, absurd level of power that no one else has. Oxyotl has the armies. He's swarming in them. Nakai is bringing the heroes in a campaign. This is insanity. This is just pure insanity. And while there is a limit, of course, the fact that you have so many heroes early on in a campaign, the fact you have no climate limitations, and also the fact that when you attack a settlement, you don't spend all your movement points. You get movement points, you can switch into camp stands. It's hard to ambush Nakai. Not that ambushing a bunch of Saurus, Temple Guard, and heroes is ever a good idea. It's hard to ambush Nakai, it's hard to stop Nakai. Like, dealing with Nakai, obviously when played by the AI doesn't take fully advantage of this, but dealing with Nakai is actually one of the annoying things in Lustria. I wouldn't say it's the hard thing in Lustria, it's just an annoying thing to deal with in Lustria, because you gotta chase both of his horde armies down and deal with these massive freaking garrisons as well. And oh my, is that never gonna stop? Now, I've reached my army capacity limit over here. It doesn't really matter, I would say. Besides, I can always increase it if I wanted to from from one of the structures that Nakai does have. So if I want to run with more armies, it's like, yeah, just upgrade this, go for 2 army capacity. It is a crappy start, so it's not really an appealing campaign to get going, but if you do overcome that early start, like, it's the combination of like having very limited money early on, the terrain over here mildly and Serpent Estuary just being slow to navigate, but if you do overcome that, you get going. Also, yeah, you have good relations with Gorok, so you can easily confederate him, and you get Lord Croak pretty quickly. It's like, this is the best, like Oxyotl is still the best Lizardman campaign because he does have that good start from the beginning, but like in terms of power levels, like, it's different than Oxyotl because you obviously don't have the mobility he has. Maybe you should to some extent, or partially of that, because he's called the Wanderer for a reason, but I'm not sure how I would describe it. I wouldn't call him the Wanderer, I would call him the Juggernaut, because that's how it feels to go against this guy if he produces all of this. Beyond all the Croxgars and Saurus and all those other units. that you do have access to in this campaign. Also, the fact that you get campaign movement range. Another thing to point out is like you get campaign movement range post battle loot, tribute from vassals, horde growth, leadership when under siege, all that kind of stuff. Like the fact that you have all of these benefits, what it really means is like these are your faction effects. Forget anything that's mentioned here. You might think, oh, what are your faction effects? All of these the benefits that you have here beyond the passive ones. 5% fort save for SARS. Yeah, that's just screaming. Like 10% missile resistance is already powerful enough. 5%. You also get diplomatic relations benefits with the Lizardmen, because you look at these faction effect seats. Yeah, they're pretty powerful. Plus 60 diplomatic relations with Lizardmen, magic item drop chance, wins of magic benefits to an absurd freaking level. Yeah, Nakai, like I always will favor early campaigns that become very strong early game, but here's the thing. Nakai's early game is very easy. It's just slow. It's not difficult. And even when you do meet Lokir, it's not like Lokir is going to stop an entire army of SARS charging on his ass. It's a tricky thing. Like, it's one of those fights that's tricky for the Dark Elves. So, it's slow going, but that doesn't mean it's challenging. No, it's a cakewalk. And then once you get going, it's like, you won't be stopped, because the AI can't take any of your territory. And even if they do take your territory, who gives a shit? Oh, you lose a bit of income, okay. But when you show up there, you get more Old Favors power. I mean, you get this passively, of course, in a campaign. That's not the discussion. You will get this passively, but especially with this kind of territory. But the thing is, you do get more when you take over settlements. So like, having to constantly switch settlements. I wish an enemy faction. Like, I'm serious. I've played this entire campaign and I've seen something that I only see in like Warriors of Chaos campaigns, and that I'm so powerful with my armies over here that no one is actually attacking them on the field of battle. I'm not exaggerating this. That is exceptional and almost never happens in a campaign. By the way, I want to point out that the units that I was given here are gold ranked. What the? Jeez. That's absurd. What the? This is absurd. Wait, does that army literally have no upkeep? What? That's crazy. That is really genuinely crazy. When you look at it. Is that intended for that army to now have? Because because, like, if this army has no upkeep, you know what I'm gonna put in it? It's like, I'm just gonna put a bunch of Dread Saurians in it, and it's just like, okay, yeah, forget it. If you can have an entire Doom stack for free with no upkeep in a faction because you get the ridiculously powerful army, it's like, forget it. Nakai is the most powerful legendary lord in the game. It's like a Doomstack of fucking Dread Saurians. It's like, are you kidding me? I understand that this is like maybe supposed to be a temporary army or whatever, but it's like, what? Okay. Oh yeah, fair enough. So it's only 8 turns. Okay, I realized it. Still, it's like, well, it's meant for you to wipe out Clan Pestilent and save Gorak, more or less. Though you can always do that by confederating Gorak and then, yeah, just building up his armies again. As long as you get one army, at least, from Gorak that you can keep alive. Here, I did manage that. Anyway, Questine here, signing out. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and enable notifications, and stay tuned for more.